All right, good morning. We'll go ahead and get started today. I like that we've got so many people in the room. Typically, in-person attendance is much smaller. But for anyone in the room or on our Zoom who does not know me, I am Lori Smith. I have been with Direction Home for about 10 years now, which blows my mind. It feels like the blink of an eye. I am going to go through just some very quick housekeeping with us here today before we turn it over to our speakers. If you are in person and you have not checked in yet, please make sure we do that. Especially important if you're receiving CEUs, we need you to both check in and out so we can verify to the boards that you were here the entire time. And even if not, we like to see how many people are attending these events so we can either make sure we are boosting attendance. Am I coming through to Zoom? Oh, yeah. So if anybody in the room needs to sign in, Bridget's got that back out at the check-in desk. So I think we're all checked in here, I think. Awesome. And Zoom people, you don't need to scan a code or anything. Just by virtue of signing into Zoom, we have got your attendance captured. But again, we just need to verify to the boards. And we like to see how many people are attending so we can monitor, what topics are popular, what speakers, if we're doing a good job, what we need to tweak. So we appreciate all that. If you are here on Zoom, please make sure you are both muted and your camera is off. That just helps keep the distractions down. Open up that chat window. That's where you can drop in questions. And I will have the link for the evaluation. I'll drop that in the chat once we're done here today as well. So make sure we've got that open. For Q&A, I know for people in the room, it sounds a little silly to be speaking through a mic in such a small room and with so few people here, but it is the only way our Zoom participants can hear us. So when it comes time for Q&A, I will come around with this mic. If you could ask your question into the mic so they can hear, and then our speakers can answer. Zoom participants, again, your questions can be typed into the chat and we'll get them to the speakers for you. Certificates. If you are earning CEU credit, I will have those emailed to you hopefully by the end of today. I need to verify again the evaluations have been completed and attendance, but once I have all that, I'll email you the certificates. Social workers, counselors, I will upload that information into CE Broker for you. Nurses, nursing home administrators, excuse me, you will self-report to your own boards. So if you would like to rewatch today's session or any of the Noontime Knowledge sessions we have done so far this year, we started them in January. We are recording them all and they are posted to our website. So when you go to www.dhad.org and you scroll down the page a little bit till you see that little I am a caregiver dot, you click that and you will come to our caregiver page. Once you scroll down a little bit, you will see new Family Caregiver Noontime Knowledge Series, a little bit about what they are, when they are, and then you can see at the very bottom here, I can't read what it says. If only there was something on the top of my head that would help me read, but I'm going to come over here where you see missed a session or want to rewatch. Click here and it'll take you to the entire playlist where you can rewatch those. If you watch them that way, unfortunately, the self-paced does not offer CEU credit. That's only for our live Zoom and in person, but you can still get the information. All right, with all that out of the way, I'm going to take it or hand it off to our first speaker, Lynn Werbecky. Thank you for being here. Here's your clicker if you want it. There's a mic up there. It is on. You can grab it if you want. My name is Lynn Werbecky.
blinking. Is this better? Okay, all right. From the top, in case you guys on Zoom didn't hear me. I'm Lynn Warbecky. I am the program manager for the Caregiver Support Program at the VA Northeast Ohio Healthcare System. This morning, I'm going to talk about the VA Caregiver Support Program, the services we provide, how you can contact us for more help, and different information about eligibility criteria and enrollment. So as you can see from this slide, caregivers and families are now part of the VA mission statement. The Caregiver Support Program was designed to care for the families and caregivers that are involved with the veterans that we serve. The Caregiver Support mission statement is to promote the health and well-being of family caregivers for our nation's veterans through education, resources, and services. We do this through a variety of ways, and the types of supports that we provide really are based on what the caregiver is needing. We can offer skills training, online and mobile support, one-on-one coaching and individual support. We do groups for support, groups for coaching. We have peer support mentoring and resources and referrals. Over the next few slides, we're going to talk a little bit more about each of these and some of the examples of the programs that we offer. So for skills training, we provide VA Save for caregivers, and this is really about caregivers being equipped to identify risk for suicide. Our caregivers are really the ones that perhaps notice changes in mood, changes in behavior, even before it's on a provider's radar when we're working with veterans. So the program really equips caregivers to be comfortable identifying those changes, reaching out for help, and ways to We'll go with the flow. Another way that we provide skills training is CPR courses for our enrolled caregivers. This is hands-on only CPR, but it really equips our caregivers who are caring for veterans that have a variety of health issues, be able in the moment when needed to provide hands-only CPR until help could come. As far as online and mobile support, there's a couple different things that we provide. Building Better Caregivers is a 6-week curriculum that a caregiver participates in virtually, and it's really focused on self-care, different strategies for different things that caregivers are dealing with as far as diagnoses for veterans, maybe medication administration, monitoring mood, dealing with behaviors, and really gives them the equipped skills to be able to talk with the veterans providers about different concerns, questions, things they're identifying. Annie texts are pretty popular with our caregivers. It's a text messaging system that provides sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, monthly, just depending on what the caregiver wants. It's often providing motivational quotes throughout the day, let them know that there's someone out there thinking about them, gives them a little bit of momentary self-care. It's been a great support. We have caregivers that love to get them every day. We have caregivers that maybe just want one every week. I had a caregiver just the other day tell me she was having a really bad day and this text message popped up. So our caregivers really like that. We also have the caregiver support website, which is caregiver.va.gov. On there is a ton of information about our programs, how to contact us, but there's also libraries that have resources, and it can be anything from, caregiving for someone with dementia, Just it's a plethora of information and it's kept up to date. So it's a good resource for caregivers as well as professionals. We also focus on individual coaching and support. So, a couple ways that we do this is we have caregiver health and well-being coaching. It's staff on in my program who are trained to use whole health modalities to work with caregivers. So, whole health is really focusing on what's important to you, not what's wrong with you. So, instead of focusing maybe on, health issues or things like that, it really asks the caregiver to identify what's important in their life and to make goals and work on that. We also provide Reach VA, which is resources for enhancing all caregivers. We can do this individually, or on the next slide, it's considered a group support as well. This really focuses on helping caregivers work on their own role identities as caregivers, how their lives have changed now that they're caregiving, different circumstances that they may deal with. It's really focused on the caregiver in that role and helping them as an individual. As far as group support, we can do Reach VA in a group. This is usually virtually. Sometimes we do offer it in person, but the group atmosphere really allows caregivers to connect with one another, hear what others are going through. It's often very similar to what they're going through. And we find that the group setting is very well attended and really benefits them. Caregiver First is a series of curriculum that we use. There's different types. It can focus on different diagnoses that our veterans have that caregivers are caring for, like Parkinson's, dementia. It really focuses on equipping those caregivers to navigate the clinical system, the VA system, and continue to provide the care the veteran needs. Self-care and wellness courses, these look a little different just depending on what we're offering. It can be from a group virtual session with a speaker or different topics. In the years past, we've done caregiving during the holidays and trying to navigate the holiday stress with the stress of just daily caregiver needs. And then there's different types of support groups. Each VA has kind of their own ability to create groups that may benefit their caregivers. My staff are often looking at what the pulse of the caregiver needs are. We've done surveys just to see what it is that would be beneficial to help them. One thing that we've recently implemented over the past year that's been well attended is coffee with caregivers. The Cleveland VA has a very large catchment area, so we are offering different coffee with caregivers on different months, usually at local libraries or spaces that we can utilize. There's really no plan for the group other than we're there with the caregivers that show up and we let them start the conversation. A lot of it is sharing information, a lot of it is emotional support, but that's been something that our caregivers really enjoy and can connect that way. Peer mentoring support or peer support mentoring. So this program is a little unique because we identify caregivers that want to be mentors and they go through a training program. And then caregivers that might be new to their journey, they might be overwhelmed with their journey. We can connect them with that mentor and they can work together, and it really helps the caregivers empower each other. We have a lot of caregivers that maybe the veteran has passed away and they can be a mentor and kind of navigate that for other caregivers. So that is also something else that we offer. As far as resources and referrals, we are providing information on resources and referrals daily, whether it's phone contact with caregivers, through our groups. But once a year, the Cleveland VA is holding a family and caregiver resource fair. And every year we're looking for more community services as well as VA services that can provide information to caregivers and veterans. We try to keep it pretty timely, as well as inviting new community agencies, just trying to figure out what our caregivers need, where they're at, and what can benefit them. Another big program that we offer and talk about is respite care. So, respite care is giving a caregiver temporary or sporadic relief for their caregiving duties. And it's really focused on self care for the caregiver, whether it be to take a break or to go to church or go to their own medical appointments. We really focus on talking about respite care. And respite can be very different in different settings. We usually try to talk with our caregivers about informal respite. So, what do they have in their lives that they can really tap into as needed to get respite care? So, this can be other family members, children, nieces, nephews, loved ones, neighbors, friends, church. We really try to get them to see what they have available to them to tap into. We also talk about formal respite care, which can be through a VA contracted agency, a home health agency, an adult daycare center, or a nursing home. And we can talk with caregivers about what that looks like, how often it would be beneficial, and then help arrange that. On the caregiver.va.gov website, there is a respite tip sheet if you're ever looking for more information about respite. But there's also a respite tool. And the tool really talks about what's important to the caregiver. Do they have time for respite? How do they want respite to look? What frequency? And then it really looks at the veteran's needs. Every veteran has different needs. Some veterans, due to cognition, due to serious health issues, may need to be in a contracted nursing home for respite, for safety, or to get the nursing care they need. Some veterans may just need someone to set up a meal for them while the caregiver's at an appointment. So, this respite tool really helps the caregiver look at what the need is, what's already available to them, and what would benefit them the most. There's also the VA caregiver support line. It's this 1-855-260-3274. And anyone who is providing any amount of care to a veteran can call this national number. When you call it, you speak with a social worker who will briefly talk with you about the nature of your call. They can make some resource linkage for you. But if the caregiver situation is more in depth or individualized, they will make a direct referral to my program. And then social workers for my program make contact with that caregiver. So, people can call this. They take quite a few calls a year. This slide shows 1 million calls and counting. So I always encourage caregivers to reach out to this number first, and we can reach out to us or that number. So, all of these supports and services are available to caregivers of veterans through two different types of programs within my overall caregiver support program. So, we're going to talk about those. They each look a little different and have a little different criteria. So, the first program that we're going to talk about is the program of General Caregiver Support Programs. We often call this PGCSS. The VA loves acronyms, so we often refer to it as that. But this program is really for any caregiver of a veteran. We have caregivers that are neighbors, nieces and nephews, spouses, children. As long as they're providing some sort of support to a veteran, they can be enrolled in this program. So to qualify for the general program, the veteran must be enrolled in a VA healthcare system. The veteran needs to require hands-on assistance with the things they have to do every day, activities of daily living. So bathing, dressing, grooming, toileting, feeding, transferring, or require supervision or protection, maybe due to cognitive deficits, residuals from some sort of neurological issue. And the veteran must agree to receive care from that caregiver. So the veteran has to say, yes, this person's providing some sort of care or support to me. So that's all that's required for PGCSS. If you're interested in this program, you contact us. We get some information from you. We enroll you in our programs, and you can access all of those services and supports as well as with a social worker on the team. And start receiving the care that the caregiver would need from the VA. Yeah, we have a question. No. So through PGCSS, the general program, the caregiver is not paid. So this program provides the individual group supportive services, someone to contact at the VA. We will be talking about a paid program next, but the general program, there's no application as long as the veteran's enrolled in healthcare, needs assistance, and agrees to the caregiver. That's all the enrollment is. So if you're interested in this program, at the end of my slides, there is a direct contact number for the Cleveland VA, but staff would call you, do a brief intake, understand what it is that you're looking for as far as supports, and then enroll you in the program. Our second program is the Program of Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers, PCAFC. And this program is very well known as the stipend program. So family caregivers who are approved and enroll in this program receive a monthly stipend for the daily care that they're providing with veterans. We're going to talk about the eligibility, application, all of that over the next few slides. So for eligibility for the stipend program, PCAFC, there's 7 veteran eligibility requirements, but the focus really is the veteran must be 70 to 100% service connected at the time of application. They need to require for at least 6 continuous months help with an activity of daily living. So back to that bathing, dressing, grooming, toileting, feeding, things like housekeeping, laundry, meal prep, those do not qualify for this program as an activity of daily living. So the veteran has to have an inability to perform one of those, or a need for supervision or protection based on symptoms or residuals of neurological or other impairment or injury, or a need for regular or extensive instruction or supervision, without which the ability of the veteran to function in daily life would be seriously impaired. So those are the main criteria that when individuals apply for PCAFC that we're looking for. If you go to caregiver.va.gov, there is a PCAFC eligibility fact sheet that talks about all of the eligibility as far as the service connection, what they need help with. And at the bottom of it, it talks about ways to apply. When someone is enrolled in PCAFC, they access all of those supportive services that we talked about, but they also have some more enhanced services that become available to them. They can qualify for mental health services through our virtual psychotherapy program for caregivers. They can qualify for beneficiary travel, which is travel reimbursement when they're accompanying veterans to appointments. They get that monthly stipend. If they do not have health insurance, they have access to CHAMP VA, which is health insurance for them. They have access to legal and financial planning services, as well as enhanced respite care. And enhanced respite care refers to our ability, when it's clinically indicated, to go over the respite limits that the VA puts on. So PCFC does offer a variety of enhanced services. The application process is listed here. We accept applications a variety of ways. If you're interested in applying for the stipend program, you can apply online at caregiver.va.gov. This is probably your easiest way to apply. You cannot submit that application without filling out the necessary parts to it. And once you submit it, it's directly assigned to whatever VA that you put on that application. If that doesn't work for you, you can print out the 1010 CG, which is the application for the comprehensive program. You can mail that in. It can be faxed. It can be dropped off to any VA. That is an option. Sometimes that's more challenging because parts aren't completed right. Maybe it's an old form. We can work through all of that as well. So once you submit your application, we at the Cleveland VA Caregiver Support Program go through a variety of steps. And this is going to be an application intake, a veteran and caregiver assessment. We do a veteran functional assessment, and then it goes for initial review at the centralized eligibility and appeals team. They are the ones that make the determination if you can move forward with the program application, which would be training and a home care assessment, and then the final application review. I do like to tell everyone that this process can take more than 90 days. So if you're applying, just know there's steps we have to go through, and it can be a lengthy process. So there is a caregiver support team at every VA medical center. At the Cleveland VA, my team covers the entire catchment area that the Cleveland VA covers. So, you know, that's down to Cambridge, that's past Mansfield, up into Sandusky, over into PA and West Virginia. So if you live in anywhere that Cleveland covers, you can reach out to us. If you're looking for a different caregiver support team, that contact information can be found at the caregiver.va.gov. So just in closing, some contact information that's just important is that National Caregiver Support Line. Anyone can call there, talk to a live person, get some information that you're looking for, and or a warm handoff to us locally. All the information about caregiver support is housed at the caregiver.va.gov. And then if you're wanting to reach out to my team directly at the Cleveland VA, our main line number is 216-707-7040. If you call that number and need to leave a message, we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you. I don't know who's next.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. My name's Rachel Woodard. I'm a social worker here at Direction Home. About 2 years ago, I got the opportunity to work in our veteran directed care program. So, first, I'm going to do a quick overview of Direction Home and some services that we provide to the community. And then I'll go into veteran directed care, which is a program we have here that serves some veterans. And then Chuck will also talk about another program we have at Direction Home that we work with veterans. So, we focus on the person, not the problem. Think of us as your front door. We really are when people think of someone that comes in your home and kind of does assessments and determines the needs to keep you at home, that you usually think of Direction Home. We serve 4 counties: Portage, Stark, Summit, and Wayne. um, what community and government programs may be available to help, how to get help so you and your loved ones continue to live at home. Um, we're called Direction Home because that's our goal, that you stay at home safely. Our most requested services are transportation, home delivered meals, assistance with utilities, chores and homemaking services, ERS buttons, and supportive housing. When you call in, you'll call our Aging and Disability Resource Center. They do an assessment, it's free. They can screen, they offer support to you. They're the ones that can come out and tell you what resources we have available that our agency can, or we can refer them out to meet their needs. We also have home and community based services, help older adults and people with disabilities accomplish everyday tasks such as bathing, dressing, preparing a meal, and managing money. A lot of people, when you think of the Area Agency on Aging, think of Passport. It's an older program, it's something that assists people to stay home. You think of those people coordinating services like aid service, meals, things like that. Our provider network makes it happen. So, just a overview, we have 250 contracted providers, including home health agencies, home medical equipment providers, adult daycare, home delivered meals, and assisted living facilities. Consumer protection, we have a department here. It's elder rights. You would call for a complaint investigation and resolution. They serve the nursing and assisted living facilities in the 4 counties. Information on Medicare benefit rules and options, and long-term care provider selection assistance. So that was the overview of our agency, especially as a caregiver. If you have, someone in your home, or someone that may need services, that is the front door to call our ADRC department. Now I'll go on and talk about directed care, which is more my wheelhouse. So this is what I do. I was at the agency for over 6 years, and about 2 years ago, I started in this program. I was offered to pilot it, and I loved it, so I stayed. So this is what I do every day. Um, Veteran directed care program serves veterans of any age who are at risk of admission to an institution. So think of those veterans that they just need support to stay in the community. That we help those veterans do that. Veterans are given a budget to hire workers, including family, friends, and neighbors, to provide personal care services in accordance with a veteran developed and VA approved budget. So that's something that comes straight through the VA. Basically, the VA decides if a veteran's appropriate for the program, and then they also provide the budget, and they would send the referral to us. Veterans receive assistance to manage their employer responsibilities from person-centered counselors, which that's what they call the workers that go from Direction Home. We're person-centered counselors, and we're also contracted with a financial management company. Common law employer, it talks about just meeting all the rules.
Veteran Administration and Aging and Disability Network Agencies, ADNA. VA medical centers utilize VDC by contracting with a VA approved Aging and Disability Network, which is us, area agencies on aging. Each AAA in Ohio covers anywhere from 3 to 7 counties. As I said in the overview, we serve 4 counties. Aging and Disability Resource Center with no wrong door systems, Centers for Independent Living, state units on aging. So the VDC process is that the veteran receives a personal care service case mix tool. So when we get a referral from the VA, they have a letter that kind of determines their care needs, and then that goes to the level of care, which would be the budget. VDC provider works with veteran to develop a spending plan. The spending plan is approved by the VDC program. So I would go to the home, we would talk about their needs, and we would develop a spending plan and we would turn it into the VA to make sure it meets the requirements of the VA. VA purchases caring, you can purchase goods and services on your spending plan, but you can only utilize that up to 3%. So 97% of your budget has to be utilized for direct care. So for caregiving. VA also purchases administrative services from the VDC providers. Spending is monitored on a monthly basis, so we do a spend report once a month and make sure that they're not going over. That's one of our main tasks is basically to make sure that the veteran has as much money for a month, the 12th month, as they did the first month, so they have continued care. This is kind of the process. So we get the referral from Cleveland. It comes to us. Then we reach out to the veteran. Then once the veteran is set up for the program, then we send a referral to Acumen, which is the financial company, and then the financial company pays the employee. The referral process, it talks about our requirements, our contract with the VA. So person-centered counselor at the area agency on aging receives a referral from the VA. We must respond to the VA within 24 hours that we receive that referral. Then we contact the veteran within 2 days of the referral, and then we should be scheduling that visit within a week. And then we communicate with the VA during the process to keep the VA aware of where the veteran is in that process of getting them enrolled in the program. When we go to our first visit, or meeting the veteran for the first time, if an authorized rep is appropriate, that's where we would request them to be present. So the veteran doesn't have to be alert and oriented to be on the program, but a third party does need a signed and authorized rep to, make sure there's no exploitation and things like that. If direct worker is identified, they can also be present. We review the referral with the veteran. So the referral comes in, we talk about the budget, we kind of give them an idea of how many hours a week that budget would probably allow. We review our handbook. We complete the intake paperwork with the veteran. We do an assessment. During the assessment and the review referral, a service plan is created. Sometimes we do a second visit for this because it's a lot of information at one visit. The spending plan is discussed, annual budget, how many direct workers will be employed, and tasks that direct workers will complete weekly for that veteran. The next step after the initial visit is while we're there, we talk about the spending plan or we do a second visit. Once we have an idea of the spending plan during that time, we're also waiting for a background check. So anyone that's working with a veteran nationally for this program needs a background check. That's for an authorized rep or a direct care worker. in the meantime, we can turn the spending plan over to the VA and get the approval. And then after we get all of that going, our requirements are that we visit the veteran every 90 days in person, and then we make a phone contact every 30 days. After the VA approves the spending plan and signs off, it's returned to us, and then we turn it to the financial company so they know what that monthly amount is that they can spend. Once the spending plan is completed, and oh, I said that, sorry, I'm ahead of it. So our fiscal management service is Acumen. The any area agency, you can contract with whatever financial company you choose. Right now, we're contracted with Acumen. A person-centered counselor sends the referral of the veteran to Acumen. A representative from the Acumen will either email or call the veteran for an introduction. And then they'll also send enrollment paperwork to be completed. I always tell folks for the veteran paperwork, it's just, is this right? Did I fill the information right? Is the demographics correct? For the aid, it's think more about your first day of a job, like you're doing your taxes, how you want your taxes done, your direct deposit. So their information is a little bit more lengthier. Once the documents are completed and Acumen obtains an EIN number for the veteran, Acumen provides Area Agency on Aging and the VA with a good to go date. And then the VA and Direction Home notifies the worker that they can start. This is an example of a spending plan. It just it's hard to read, it's super small. But it just shows like basically it breaks it down into a week, how many hours they can have, and how much they pay. And the other thing is this is directed care, so we're just helping them navigate the program. If we can educate them and tell them like the parameters of the program, but it is veteran directed care, so they are directing their own care. Benefits of utilization of VDC for veterans and caregivers. It's a higher level of satisfaction with services, flexibility to customize services, allows veterans to live independently in their home. It showed a reduction of inpatient utilization, 30% decrease in inpatient services in 1 year after enrollment. Cost reduction compared to nursing facilities. Three veterans can be cared for using VDC versus one veteran in a nursing facility. Greater ability to provide respite services to caregivers. It reduces caregiver stress, allows families to be hired at a competitive wage. And now Chuck will go for his. Sure.
Help me understand how the veterans are connected with direct care workers, and are there any family members that are ineligible to become a direct care worker for that veteran?
The only thing that would be not appropriate would be a background check that has felonies that the VA, there are some things that are not doesn't exclude the worker, but we do have a list that's set up from the VA that you would check the felonies and see if someone's appropriate. We also have, it's called a character checklist. If they do have some felonies on there, we review it and then we send it to the VA and then we discuss it with the veteran. Sometimes if it's not a disqualifying felony, we can talk about the veteran, just that it's on that background check and that they're aware of it. But that would be I'm trying to think if there would be anything else that would make someone not appropriate. And then the referral process is they would talk with their VA doctor and a PAC social worker. And that's how we get our referrals. They come from the VA. Good.
So if they have no family, then the
So-
direct care service workers come from the VA.
So technically, this program, you should be referred with a caregiver. We do have some people that aren't, and I will say it's very difficult to identify a caregiver for them. But when we first started doing it 2 years ago, that was part of it, that they would have to be referred with a caregiver. We are starting to get some that maybe they had a caregiver identified, and by the time they got to us, they don't. So we do use like our provider list and things like that if people are interested. But unfortunately, I think, we all know, we all work in this industry, and it's just hard to identify someone if the veteran hadn't identified someone prior to coming on the program.
And they can be their guardian or power of attorney. That doesn't disqualify them.
So it doesn't disqualify them, but there would have to be an authorized rep. So the power of attorney could be the authorized rep. A worker can be an authorized rep. Or I'm sorry, a power of attorney can be a worker, but the power of attorney would have to assign the authorized rep. There just has to be a third party. So, yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. My name is Chuck Kelesina. I'm with the Area Agency on Aging, and I work out at the Elder Rights Division. And I work on a program, Veterans on Medicaid, and we try to transition Ohio veterans to VA care. Our team is statewide. It's small but mighty. Jane is our program manager. She is a retired full bird colonel, and she has also been deployed. I'm a Vietnam veteran, served in the United States Army, and I have the northern part of the state of Ohio. And Jimmy Gillespie is a United States Marine, and he was also deployed, and he has the southern part of the state. One thing, several things that we all have in common is that we all were deployed, and we all use the VA healthcare system because of the different things that we had been exposed to. So we know a little bit how to maneuver around the VA. However, maneuvering around the VA and maneuvering around Medicaid can become very complicated. So we have some great partners that really help us, because we couldn't do this alone. And as you can see, that's some big names that you go through this list, that when we reach a hurdle, they help us to overcome it or step around it so that we can get the best for our veteran. Our project started, or our program started as a project in 3 counties in the state of Ohio. What our purpose was to ensure that veterans understood their VA benefits, and to educate them in what they may have coming that they never stopped to think about. Our target population when we first started this were veterans in nursing homes. The reason being is because that's one of the biggest expenditures that anyone besides a veteran would have to see as they go through that portion of their life. Because of the I don't want to say success rate, but because of the things that we have done here in the state of Ohio, our governor, who is very minded about veterans, has now put this program in his budget so that we can continue to keep moving forward with this. The program works where we receive a list. We call it the Paris file. What it is veterans who are receiving any kind of VA funding and are also registered on the Ohio State Medicaid list. They match up Social Security numbers, and then that list is sent to us, myself and Jimmy. From there, we immediately go out. We meet every veteran that is on this list, introduce ourselves, tell them a little bit about our program. And the reason being is because what we're trying to do is get them to say, yes, they want to be on the program, obtain their consent, and then we can speak for them on behalf of their needs to the VA. Now, you heard before 70%. That's a magic number. And when you're looking at a veteran that is in a nursing home, that's what our goal is to try to get that veteran, if not already at 70%, 70% or over. The reason being is because the benefit, VA considers VA money as income. So if you can't afford to be on that, what am I thinking? You can't, if you have to be on the Medicaid rolls, that 70% is going to be considered part of your income and, or that money that's coming in. If you move into a VA contracted facility, then the VA will pick up your cost and you get to save all of that VA money as well as any other income that you've got coming in. So what we try to do once we meet the veteran in order to get this ball rolling is we coordinate with the county veteran service commissions. This is important because those folks are trained to navigate the VA system, and they also work like we work at no charge to the veteran, which is very important because trying to navigate the VA gets very confusing, and a lot of people really throw their hands up right off the bat, and they turn to a lawyer. Once you turn to a lawyer, you're starting to pay funds where you could turn to the County Veteran Service Commission. We are there and we try to assist throughout this whole process in working with them. So we try to be the arms and legs out there in the field for the families. The benefits, as mentioned before, if you transition into a VA contracted community nursing home, the VA will pick up your room and board, your medication, your transportation. You get to keep your VA funds as well as your any other income that the family has coming in. You get another level of care where a VA social worker and a VA nurse come into that nursing home and they review your records to make sure that that place is meeting your care needs. And then on top of that, the state can then take that Medicaid funds and reallocate it. So it's a win-win for everyone, for the veteran, for the family, and for the state of Ohio. Currently, we have 70 plus VA contracted nursing homes here in the state of Ohio. Those facilities are reviewed and taken care of through the 5 VA medical facilities, VA medical centers that we have here in the state, as well as some surrounding VA medical centers that touch our state. Ann Arbor is one, Pittsburgh is another one, Louisville is another one, just to mention a few. As said before, we're statewide. Jimmy and I split the state in half. I have the northern portion and Jim has the southern portion. One of the biggest things and largest benefits that has come along has been the approval of the PACT Act. And this is actually was done through one of our own here in the state of Ohio with First Class Sergeant Robinson. He was exposed to the burn pits while deployed in Afghanistan, and his family really fought, and Congress has passed this. And with this passing, the presumptive conditions has been expanded immensely as to what the VA now looks at and will now rate a veteran in getting them service connected. Let me explain. Service connected means that you have either had an injury or a disability that occurred while you were in the service. And a lot of veterans don't realize that. Whatever it may have been, in the years later, something is going wrong. And this is what we're out there trying to do now, is to educate these veterans that, hey, wait a minute, you can go and get some help. You can get some support. And one of the biggest is the VA healthcare system itself. It is just amazing the number of benefits that are available through the healthcare system. And as you can see with the Gulf War era, the presumptive conditions has, there's astronomical different things that we can look at in order to try to get that veteran to be evaluated. It also increased the number of presumptive conditions that the Vietnam veteran was exposed to. So which also is another big plus for us to assist in trying to get that veteran service connected and at least up to that 70% level, if not higher. It also impacted the Camp Lejeune water contamination, which a lot of the Marines had no idea what was going on because of the water around their base was being contaminated, believe it or not, by chemicals being dumped by a dry cleaner. And here these folks had been drinking this, and it had been going on. It was 1953 through 1987. So once again, it really strengthened those presumptives and allowed the veteran to get into the VA system and importantly into the VA healthcare system. Lessons learned from all of this, well, we realized that we couldn't do it alone. That we're very grateful for our partners in helping us do this. We're very grateful for the County Veteran Service Commission officers that are educating us and helping us to move through this and to get our statewide veterans more of the benefits that they so rightly deserve. And the nice thing is that when you do accomplish this, the family is so grateful. And it really is a big plus, and especially for those veterans that are in the nursing homes and being able to know that their family is being taken care of because all of the funds that they're getting can stay with the family now that they're in a VA contracted facility. Moving forward, we're no longer just in nursing homes. We go in and we can meet a veteran at their home, talk to them about certain things. We go into group homes now. We go into assisted livings. We go into senior living facilities. We have expanded our reach because of the things that we have learned, Jimmy and I have learned working with the County Veteran Service Commission and some of the great people that we have worked with within the VA system itself as well. So once again, this is our contact information. If you feel you would like to reach out, you need us, we're here for you. So please don't hesitate. And being a Vietnam veteran, I want to steal the motto from the Vietnam Veterans of America. Never again will one generation of a veteran abandon another. And since this is Veterans Day, for all of you that take care of our veterans and for all of you that are veterans, thank you for your service. Yes, ma'am.
You knew I would have a question.
Yes, I did.
Thank you, Chuck, for your service and for all the help that you do with all the veterans that
You're
are
welcome.
connected with us.
My
We
pleasure.
We appreciate you. My question is, I work with a caregiver who recently said that her husband qualifies for home care through the VA, but not a facility stay through the VA. And I don't know if she meant specifically a VA nursing facility or a nursing facility that's contracted for VA. Can you explain an example of how that would occur, that they can get the home care, but they don't qualify for the facility?
The veteran is probably service connected, but not at a 70% level. They're in the VA healthcare system. Being in the VA healthcare system, their primary doctor has probably prescribed that they're authorized for some in-home health services to come in, but not being at the level of 70% yet. If they were to go to a VA contracted community facility, they would not then be able to be eligible for the funding to have the VA pick it all up. Okay.
And if they were in Vietnam or Camp Lejeune and have a diagnosis that qualifies, would that bring them up to that 70%?
The VA has it's not the math that you and I learned when we were in school. They have a very unique way of bringing up that percentage, and they rate everything on a percentage. So there are certain key presumptives, however. If that veteran has cancer of any kind, they'll automatically go to 100%. All right. Let's say that that veteran was in Vietnam and has diabetes. Diabetes are rated on 3 different levels. You can get a 10%, 20%, and 30%, depending on the severity of your diabetes. So now let's say that it's severe and he's at 30%, he or she is at 30%. Let's say that they were at Camp Lejeune and they had Parkinson's, okay? With the Parkinson's, the same scenario can take place depending on the severity of it and the percentages that are rated. Now, if they get that 50% rating and diabetes at a 30% rating, you would think they would go to 80, but they probably end up at 70, which is good because then at that given point, they are then eligible if need be to go into a facility, into a nursing home.
So this particular veteran has Parkinson's, and obviously it's progressing, chronic terminal. So could he be reevaluated by VA as his disease progresses in order to up that percentage?
Exactly. And that was just the next thing I was going to say. That's a big problem with a lot of the veterans that we talk to, in that, when was the last time you were evaluated? Oh, I don't know, 20 years ago, whatever. Well, their severity of whatever the presumptive disease is has continually gotten worse. And that's why it's always good to continue to get reevaluated. You know, if you're starting to get, because there are also other conditions that go along with different diseases, diabetes, neuropathy. So that's an addition that you can get on top of that. So, you know, it's always good to continue to get reevaluated, and especially if the severity is getting worse, then the VA will jump in, and they, you know, they're great people. They really are. And they will bring that person, that veteran, up to the level that they should be. Okay. You're welcome. Any other questions? No? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions from our online folks, but to those of us on Zoom, if you do have a question, just go ahead and type that into the chat. I will read that out to our presenters here today. If anybody else in the room has a question, I'll bring the mic to you. In the meantime, I'll flip ahead a slide. So and I dropped this link in the chat to our Zoom participants, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to complete our session evaluation. Again, it is required if you want to receive CEU credit. Even if you're not, it helps us we do review these answers. We do take your thoughts and opinions into account. And it just helps us to keep creating really great content that you want to hear and is valuable. So even if you're not getting CEU credit, we would appreciate it if you would complete this for us. In the room, you can scan the QR code. If you are not able to use the QR code, you can see me at the back there at my computer, and I can get you a link. Zoom participants, I dropped that link in the chat for you, so take a moment to do that. Does everybody in the room have it? Awesome. And then once you're done with that QR code, in-person peeps, this is your QR code to check out, or you can see myself or Bridget out at the check-in table. And again, especially if you're receiving CEU credit, we need your time in and your time out. And that just verifies to the board that you were here the full hour. All right. Awkward silence ensues. I'm going to walk back to my computer, see if we did get any questions on Zoom. Nope, I do not see any questions from our online folks. So with that, thank you everybody for coming today. We hope you found everything helpful, valuable. Looking forward to seeing the evaluations. So again, we can review those and keep bringing you great stuff. We have our next one is the second Tuesday in December. That is going to go over healthy and effective communication between the caregiver, the person they're caring for, and their healthcare team. So how we can effectively do that. So come back second Tuesday in December. I can't remember the 9th, I think it is. Again, that'll be both here in person. Feel free to bring a lunch. I don't think anybody takes us up on eating together. And then, of course, it's also available on Zoom. They are from 11 to noon. All right. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.